strangers have been invited to a party. If they can stay up till dawn, they'll win $1 million each. The only catch is that they'll have to live through the night.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What up, Brother Bear?
This week, we're going to be discussing the horror classic, The House on Haunted Hill. No, not that one.
No.
The remake. The remake with
Not that
Jeffrey.
I like the original one to begin with. When my book club read that for our Halloween 2 years ago, I was like, what the f***? I said, I refuse to read that again.
Wait a minute. There was a book on the House of Haunted Hill.
The Haunted of Hill House.
Not the same thing. We've had this discussion before.
Well, what was the Lily Taylor bullshit?
That's The Haunting.
Oh, God.
The Haunting,
It's all
which
a
was
blur.
based on The Haunting of Hill House. This is
Loosely.
The House on Haunted Hill, not to be confused with The Legend of Hell House.
I was just going to say that. That was my very next thing.
There were many. It's very confusing. But again, this is the early 2000s, or actually 1999.
We're going to party like it's 1999.
Yes, and they did. Which stars Jeffrey Rush, Famke Janssen, Taye Diggs, Ali Larter, Pete Sampras's future wife was in this.
Famke Janssen is one of the most beautiful women I've ever
She
seen.
is. She's dynamite.
Whatever happened to her? Was she on a horse or something? What happened to her?
She's on the. She's beautiful. She was a Bond girl. She was an X-Men for a few years.
Oh, that's right. She's
Yes.
an X-Men. That's why she was so familiar.
She was, yeah. And then, time marches on. This was 25 years ago. I mean,
Right.
I mean, she's still doing
Well,
her
quite
thing.
frankly, what's Taye Diggs doing these days too?
Oh,
Speaking of
we're going to
beautiful
talk
people.
about this. We're going to talk about this. And then Peter Gallagher's eyebrows are in this as well. So you have that to look forward
Peter
to.
Gallagher's eyebrows are always there. They're always the star of the show, and
He's always the star.
And at this time, he was always in a movie. I liked him in an ancient movie called The Idolmaker.
I remember
This is
that
where
one.
he came on the scene. After that,
With Ray Sharkey.
Ray Sharkey.
Yes.
It was a classic. But after that, I think I had enough. Was he in Sex, Lies, and Videotape?
He was. He was.
see?
He was in While You Were Sleeping.
Yeah.
He was the father on The O.C.
I mean, he may be a lovely person, but I hate him.
Oh,
I hate him. No, I
Peter
don't know.
Gallagher.
Maybe he's lovely, or maybe it's just the character he always play. But usually I can separate. He's no
Fair enough.
Skarsgård. Let's just say that.
Which one?
Any of them.
Any of them. Fair enough.
I mean, he's not even a lesser Skarsgård.
Okay. That's something. And Chris Kattan is in this from Saturday Night Live for some bizarre
I was
reason.
shaking my head. All these people. At least Jeffrey Rush didn't he win or was nominated for an Academy Award?
Academy
and then he
Award
did
winner.
this?
Yes.
Yeah,
Academy Award winner for Shine.
Jeffrey Rush trying to do the worst Vincent Price impression ever. Quite
gonna
frankly,
talk
I
about
would have
that, too.
preferred to see the original, which I've seen a million times.
I have.
Where's
as well.
the trap door full of sulfuric acid? I was waiting for that.
Why not? Absolutely. This would seem to be the place to have it. Anyway,
Brrr.
in the podcast That Wouldn't Die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre. Eventually, we're 10 minutes into the podcast, with a comedic twist. So good times had by all. Aaron, what's up with you? What you doing?
Last time I talked to you, I was complaining about that I saw The Nun 2.
Yes.
This week, I'm going to go see A Death in Venice, which I thought was going to be a remake of our Donald
A Haunting
Sutherland
in Venice,
movie,
right?
The Haunting in Venice.
Yes.
But it is not. It
You know
is
what it is?
fake Agatha Christie.
It's a real Agatha Christie. It's not, the title was not The Haunting of Venice. Well, and that's what's so funny. It's like now you got Kenneth Branagh playing Hercule Poirot with a ridiculous, like no one in history ever had a more bizarre mustache. So you're
I
watching
don't
the
know.
commercial.
I had this chemistry teacher.
Oh, here we go.
At Palm Springs High School,
Mr.
who had
Jones.
this Mr. Jones, and it
Absolutely.
would drip down and then shoot out like spikes, like he was the fucking predator. And
That's
I
not
remember
true.
telling that is 100% true.
He waxed it
He
to
waxed
look
it
like
straight
he was.
out.
No, that's not true.
When
He
I
waxed-
was there, it was straight out. It wasn't curly Q.
It
And
was-
I told Mom, and she says every time she apparently knows him. I remember her saying
Yes.
something akin to, I'm haunted by the idea of what he looks like coming out of the shower, where it's just all dripping down like he has gills.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Oh shit!
I'm going to tell you a story. I went on because he would always lead us on the ski trip, yearly ski trip to Mammoth.
I didn't know you know how to ski.
I do not.
You just went on the ski trip.
I tried. I mean, no time like the present to learn. You know what I'm saying? So we all were in the same hotel. He came out in the morning to go skiing, and he had not quite waxed it yet, so it was kind of flopping down like this. But yes, when I was in high school,
from what was the fake Simpsons where they're in space, and there was a dude with the little antennas.
Futurama. Yes,
Futurama, and there was the
like
dude
Futurama.
with the danglies.
Yes. I don't know why we're talking about this for 20 minutes. When I was there, he waxed it into kind of like he was like in the French Revolution kind of thing. Like, you know,
Fucking French
with a little, because who else is doing this? Mr. Jones and people from the 1700s. Anywho.
I'm just saying, 10 years later, he apparently moved to, but when I had him, straight out.
I can't believe that. That
Straight
sounds
out.
like nonsense.
Ask my mom.
Okay.
Ask my mom.
She's my mom too, by the way, just for the record.
Sometimes.
I guess. What were we even talking about? That let us down.
Mustaches. Remember when Kenneth Branagh was a real actor?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that? Do you remember watching the 4-hour Hamlet and thinking, this is freaking amazing?
Well, vaguely. I mean, Kenneth Branagh, he appeared on the scene. He was married to Emma Thompson for a brief time there, and it was all Shakespeare.
The British power couple.
Absolutely.
Until Frankenstein.
He had an affair with Helena Bonham Carter, and that was all she wrote. So.
And honestly, he went into the tank. I think it wasn't just because he cheated on one of the most beloved ladies, but also he was kind of waning at that point. Remember they did that movie together with the scissors?
Dead Again.
They're Dead Again.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. By the way, I have a funny, I think it's funny. You went and saw The Nun 2, or as I like to call it, The Re-Nun?
Or none of this is interesting. How about that?
Well, there's that as well. Sweet Jesus.
I mean, I do like now the Catholic Church or like some new form of X-Men where our holy relics can turn into, what was that? What was the gauntlet of what bullshit? The gauntlet of Thanos.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Right. So in this one, they have the dried up eyes of some saint, which she's been dead for 200 years, so it has to be smaller than a pea, rattling around in a Mentos tin, and it gives you
Mentos come in tins?
Not Mentos. What was the other thing?
Altoids.
Curiously strong. Altoid tin.
Yes.
And you just hold it up and it glows. The Catholic Church is now part of the Marvel Universe. That's all.
Sounds good to me. I'm in.
There we go.
I'm in all the way.
There's my special power. I think they got to pluck your eyes first, and then you get your special martyr powers.
Let me get this train back on the track. Why don't you give us your... We're talking about all sorts of random stuff. The audience has already jumped out the window.
The best part of The Nun 2 is if you sit through all the bullshit at the end, then you see our power couple back. So you're kind of they're getting a phone call.
Is this a spoiler alert?
Yeah, so they're coming back. What's it? What's her
Mephisto?
name?
Who are you trying to say?
I can't remember. I thought I had her name Milo.
Vera Farmiga? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. Vera. And what's his face? And Patrick Wilson are picking up the phone.
Okay.
and
That's
taking
the
note.
Easter egg.
The end of Nun too. So hopefully we got
Interesting.
something good coming.
Well, one could hope, because the last couple were kind of shaky even from them.
It
Give
is.
us your
It's true.
30-second synopsis of the House on Haunted Hill House.
Oh, there's this crazy toxic couple, and the guy's rich, so they're just taking bites out of each other. It's her birthday party, and mysteriously the guest list changed. They're all gonna have it in an insane asylum. And then it's whoever makes it through the night gets $1 million. If people die, then you share the $1 million. The minute I hear people coming at me for $1 million, because I don't know, in my hood, they cut you for $20. So I'm like, okay, out. I'm not waiting. But of course, people do. There's a lot of 13 Ghosts bullshit going on. A lot of American Horror Story asylum situations going on. Taye Diggs and the blonde chick win at the end, but honestly, it would have been better if she turned, since she was holding the checks, and pushed Taye Diggs off. That would have been the best.
That would have been a shocking conclusion.
That would have
No
been a
question.
shocking twist, and she'd be like stuffing the $5 million down her bra, going deuces.
And then what? She's trapped up on the ledge. I mean, she has to
They
jump
were
off
both
anyway.
trapped up on the ledge. How about this is supposed to be freaking Los Angeles? Why is there a 1,000,000-foot insane asylum on a cliff? What cliff is that in Los Angeles? Is it in Malibu? No. It's
Palisades.
900 feet. It's Arkham Asylum. That's what it is. It's Arkham Asylum in Los Angeles.
Could be like Palos Verdes or something like that, perhaps.
And why is it the House on Haunted Hill when it was never a house? It was built as an asylum. It was never a house. No one ever lived there except for the inmates. You don't call a prison a house, so why is it a house on Haunted Hill? Is the hill haunted, or is it the asylum haunted?
I mean, I'm trying to remember, since I'm jumping in. They're all haunted. It's not a very clever, the House on Haunted Hill. I mean, now granted, the original
it's
one
on a hill. It's not a house.
The original with Vincent Price was like 1959. William Castle. So was that a house? I guess that
was a house. I mean, a castle is people live in it.
Right.
So it was kind of like, it was a castle.
Well, it was
people
William
live in
Castle
castles. People don't live in insane asylums.
Except for the insane inmates. People, they have to live there.
This was like Cuckoo's Nest. So you wouldn't call it a house.
Would you call it a home? I guess the question.
Home is where your heart is.
Home, that's what they say. Absolutely. Had you ever seen this movie before?
Yeah, I've seen this piece of shit. Absolutely.
Oh, you?
Absolutely. It was like this was the time of all the remakes. I mean, honestly, all these movies came out, and really, there's no difference between one or the other. Some are just more boring, some are more gross, but it's all kind of the same flavor.
I'm almost positive I saw this in the movie theater, and I remember liking it more. You know what I mean? I remember, not that it was great. I didn't think it was Shakespeare at the time.
How old were you in 99?
24?
That's half a high schooler, so there you go.
Yeah, something like that.
Case
change.
I mean,
half, yes. But we talked about this before, because this movie was made under the Dark Castle banner. They were
Disney, right?
No, it's Warner Brothers, but it was under Robert Zemeckis and Joel Silver. We're gonna go back into the vault. We loved William Castle's shit from the movies he made in the late 50s, early 60s. We're just gonna do remakes under this Dark Castle banner. And this was the first one, and it didn't do very well. And the second one was 13 Ghosts, which also didn't do very well. So then they said, F it. We're done. Our experiment is over.
There's only so many people that you can have shaking their head quickly. The first time you see that, it looks
like Katharine Hepburn, or what? It's always
it's just the palsy. There's always the ghosts that are shaking their head way too quickly,
spazzing out. Yeah,
having a freak out.
No, and I mean, we did 13 Ghosts, I don't know, like a month or a couple months ago. And you didn't enjoy 13 Ghosts that much. I thought it was okay, but I thought it looked very cool. This movie is not okay, and it looks crappy. Like the special ghost effects look like CGI bullshit from a third-rate video game.
100%. It's part of the trilogy of shitty haunted movies. There is The Haunting with Lily
Yes.
Taylor. There is this piece of crap, followed by 13 Ghosts.
Let's pump the brakes. You keep saying The Haunting with Lily Taylor. This is The Haunting with Lily Taylor, Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Owen Wilson.
Right.
It was an all-star frickin' cast.
All of these are all-star frickin' casts.
Yes.
And people don't know, but there was nothing to the story. There was nothing original. There was nothing interesting.
No.
I mean, in the Lily Taylor, in the original, you're not really sure. Is she crazy? This, they made it obvious that there's all kinds of funky business going on.
There's all kinds of funky business going on, for sure.
God help her. I really don't care for Lily Taylor. She is Lily. She is
God help her.
Tiny girls.
Right. Well, I remember Lily Taylor, since we're talking about this now, from Say Anything. She was dating John Cusack for a period, so she was constantly like the friend of John Cusack in all these movies.
High Infidelity. They dated in that.
High Fidelity, not Infidelity. That's a different movie. That's
High Fidelity is an REO Speedwagon album, and for whatever reason, even though I love High Fidelity, it always comes out as High Infidelity.
I'll take it on the run, baby. Anywho, let's jump in with the highlights on the House on Haunted Hill 99.
Mm-hmm.
What you got? You go first.
I said, why does it look like Wayne Manor?
It makes no goddamn sense. They establish, thanks to Peter Graves.
All my things all say why.
Right. Underline why. There is a opening montage where Peter Graves, host of Terrifying But True, talks about...
That was kind of funny.
I enjoyed that.
That was kind of funny. The only funny part, because it was like, yeah, he used to host all kinds of weird shows like that.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mission Impossible.
Mr. Mission, and from the Airplane movies.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about how this was an insane asylum in this prime real estate where spontaneously the lunatics escape from their cells and kill all the asylum workers, the psychiatrists, who were also evil. Like, they were taking the lunatics and doing, I don't know, can you say lunatics? Is that inappropriate these days? The psychologically disturbed individuals, and doing horrible experiments on them.
It's too late. You're canceled.
I am canceled.
If My Favorite Murderer is canceled, we've been canceled for years.
Absolutely.
I wrote down, why are they recording the surgery on video with no anesthesia?
The evidence of their crimes?
It seems like evidence.
Well, and it wasn't just, there weren't video cameras. They were in the old school cranking camera, which I always wonder, you have to have a steady hand and a sense of rhythm to make
Those
sure.
Guys I read in my theater appreciation, whatever, in college. Yeah, those guys, they had just to have the feel for it. They had to crank things that had to be steady, had to be at a certain rate. Yeah,
absolutely. So evidently the psychiatry community in the House on Haunted Hill were like Nazis, where they were literally conducting horrifying and obscene experiments upon the mentally disabled, and then they turn on them. And of course, he seals the vault, which there's a lever that metal plates slam down, which is also what happens in 13 Ghosts.
Honestly, this is American Horror Story Asylum.
It is.
At least that part.
So they're basically condemning themselves. So I'm going to lock myself in with the people trying to kill me. Is that the plan?
Makes no sense.
And then a fire bursts out. So they're all killed in the fire somehow. right? So
They're
now
cooked. Well, no,
the-
what is it? 8 people survived. Is that
5
it?
people escaped. 5, and evidently 5 like co-conspirators. Like 5 of the asylum workers escaped, but they were all in on the evil doctor's plans. Dr. Vonnegut or Vonnegut, Kurt Vonnegut. I don't
Kurt
remember who was
Vonnegut,
involved.
that bastard.
He was
So here's
involved
my
in some way.
question:
Please.
Who built all this shit? I mean, back in the day, this was the government, churches, but they just let a crazy doctor build. It would have taken 20 years to build this crazy thing,
Absolutely.
and then it's got weird things that lock everybody in, so you
Yes.
could all burn to death.
That's correct. That's correct.
Makes no goddamn sense.
So in modern days, Jeffrey Rush is a millionaire amusement park magnate.
Yeah.
Who
Is that a thing? Is that even a thing?
Who's to say? Who's to say? Who has a contentious relationship with his wife to the point where they're constantly like threatening, "I'm going to murder you. Tonight may be the day that I kill you. I'm going to get a gun."
Literally
Yes.
1,000 either Hammer or William Castle movies where it's the Bickersons. She has a lover. She pretends that he has killed her. She has killed herself to drive him crazy. So there's probably been 20 movies in this sphere about this. I mean, immediately you know who the lover is.
Oh, absolutely. But it's literally like, I will kill you in your sleep. It may be tonight. It may be tomorrow. I may kill you while you're awake. Who's to say? Like they're very casual about threatening to murder each other. And then she's like, "Oh, my birthday's coming up. Make sure you throw me a party."
Right. I'm sending you my guest list.
I'm sending you my guest list so you can throw me a party. Person that I'm threatening to murder tomorrow. So that's a weird relationship.
Well, you know what's really weird is then at the end, when the creature is coming for her, after he has been shot, he's trying to kill her. She wakes up, blah blah blah. He's warning her to get up and get out of the way.
Yes, you got the sense that he still
relationship.
He loved her. He loved her, but she married him just for his money. Like she found him disgusting. He's Jeffrey Rush. I get it. No offense, Jeffrey, if you're listening. She married him just for his money. And she literally said, "This would have been so easy. You could have just granted me a divorce and torn up the nuptial agreement." That was the hook. If you'd have just torn up give me half your millions, we wouldn't have had to come to this lowly state. But you're right. When later in the movie she falls in the hole with the ghosts and creatures, he's like, Helen or whatever her name was. What was her name?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's always Helen.
Helen or whatever. Hurry, get out of here. But by then it's too late. So
they're sucked into the fog. This mash of shitty CGI, fog, smoke.
It's
just terrible.
It's the worst. It is the worst.
And what happened to poor Lisa Loeb? And how come she didn't get to sing?
So, okay, at the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Stephen Price, played by Jeffrey Rush, who's introducing his new roller coaster.
That appears to fly off its tracks.
Constantly.
The car in front of you appears to just sail off into the sunset, and your car is coming up next.
Yes. So he's being interviewed by Lisa Loeb. Does she do a lot of acting? She's in this wearing her Lisa Loeb glasses as the interviewer. And the cameraman later went on to have a great career as Spike on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. For years. He was the bizarre other vampire that she had a thing for.
Quite popular in his day.
Absolutely. So that's that's when he's talking to his wife. She sends him the guest list for the birthday party that she wants to be thrown at the asylum for some reason. And then we see like some kind of spiritual ghostly thing changes the names on the guest list. So now
it doesn't bother anyone that there's total strangers just showing up for the birthday party.
Well, because the husband and wife are so suspicious of each other. Each is convinced that the other has done it. These aren't the people on my list. You must have changed it. I sent the list that you brought me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Guys, get the out.
Right, party's over.
One of us. Party's over. Get the hell out of here.
Party's over.
Why are you at my house/asylum?
No question. It's very much like you didn't invite him. I didn't invite him. Party's over. It's like no question. It's not like, well, I guess I'm just that good of a host that I'm just going to have to go on with the evening's festivities for no reason. Makes no sense. So you've got, at this point, you've got Ali Larter from Final Destination in blonde hair shows up as one of the chicks, who it turns out she wasn't really invited anyway. It was her boss who was invited, and she's stolen the invitation because she needs the cash. Taye Diggs is invited.
And then he's like, I'm not even related. I'm adopted.
I was adopted. Your blood is tainted. Bridget Wilson, who later became Bridget Wilson Sampras, arrives with her crazy 1999 era video camera.
I had one of those. That was state of the art.
They were big. No question. And Peter Gallagher shows up as well. He's Dr. Blackburn.
I don't care for Peter Gallagher.
So we're learning. And of course, Chris Kattan pulls up in his piece of shit, like AMC Pacer Gremlin or something. But of course, he owns this gigantic asylum. He's the guy who owns the asylum, driving, a car 40 years old with just shit all over it. Like, it's got rust.
And how does he own the asylum? Isn't it owned by the state?
His grandfather built it. His father was trying to refurbish it and then died in the undertaking. And seemingly only why is he trying to refurbish it? I mean, it's question number one.
So if you're the mason on a construction job in the 30s and the inmates murder the doctor, it reverts back to you? Is that California law?
Shit. I guess so.
Is that a Los Angeles thing? I'm not sure about that.
It's a thing. So when they walk in to the foyer area, it's clearly meant to be like a beautiful appointed mansion, right? It doesn't look like the entryway of an insane asylum where there's like a front desk where you check in and, there's no like locked door. You know what I'm saying?
You never see a bedroom.
You do see a bedroom. She retires. She says, I'm out of here. This is your party. She goes up to the bedroom, a beautifully appointed bedroom. Everything at ground level up is beautifully appointed. The moment they take one flight of stairs down, it's a shit show. It's like totally, but again, it doesn't look like it's suffered fire damage, right? I don't see any evidence of fire damage. It just looks old and shitty.
So when you're bringing in a new inmate to the asylum, they go through the living room?
They go through I guess. They go through the living room. So at some point when you're having drinks by the fire, the next psychopath is let in his ball gag and chains. Yes.
Lovey, I gotta get the gimp.
Exactly. That is, from what we can gather, that's the situation. Now, the 4 guests, by the way, 4 guests to your party, that's some banger, right? What is it? Are we playing bridge? I mean, what's the plan for the evening?
It's not a catered do. I see no drinks and I see no food. I see handguns. This is the worst party I've ever been invited to.
Well, he does say there's food and drinks in the other room, but you don't really see anybody drinking.
We don't have the budget to show you that.
They show Chris Kattan like polishing off some bourbon a couple times. At one point, he's sitting there bitching and complaining, drinking his bourbon, and Taye Diggs just knocks it out of his hands. People are like, whoa, hey, party foul. So
all I thought was Erin's going to go find a hiding space and like take a gummy and just hope she falls asleep till 9:30 the next day.
That's the plan. Am I right?
Exactly.
So On the invitations, it says, "Come to the party. If you stay the night, survive the evening, you'll get $1 million." So of course, these people who are strangers are like, "Hey, I'm out of work at the moment. Sounds good to me."
But then there's the whammy. Anyone who dies, then their money rolls over and shared between the
They
rest.
don't
That's
say
when there's a
dies.
problem.
They don't
If
say
anything
dies.
happens.
Well, what they say, this is before all the steel shutters slam down. The idea is it'll be so scary, people will just say, "Deuces, I'm out of here." So if you're too afraid, you'll leave. And he says that, and you can leave anytime. And then a second later, all the steel shutters slam down, trapping everybody in there.
I'm sorry, there was a mention of people dying.
Google it. Look it up.
You Google it.
So it's meant to be kind of I guess initially it's supposed to be kind of a creepy Halloween kind of evening or some shit. All
I saw was handguns.
Yes.
What are we doing? Are we playing Russian roulette? Is this Deer Hunter? What are the fun, kooky party games we got going on here?
Where's Christopher Walken when you need him? The thinking man sex symbol.
Wouldn't that be
right?
great?
Not the thinking man sex. Maybe it is a thinking man sex symbol. Who's to say? I don't judge.
Who's to say?
So
Walken is an icon.
Evidently, Jeffrey Rush has set up the house with all sorts of kooky, spooky things. But honestly, we don't really see any of like his shit, right? It seems like everything that goes down is like the inherent house's shit. Wouldn't you agree? Like you don't see a skeleton pop out of the door kind of thing.
Right? That's the kind of stuff you saw in the original. Skeletons jumping out of closets and stuff.
Now, in the original, if I remember correctly, there was a thing where it's like the wife is trying to kill her wealthy husband, who was Vincent Price in the original. And she brings her lover, which it's like a grand surprise. Oh, he's the lover.
It's a dude from Bonanza or something. It was Richard Long.
Who was
Richard Long? Bonanza. The other Western show.
I was like, Haas? Is Haas helping out? Was it Adam?
It's the professor from Nanny and the Professor.
That's not a real show, by the way. The professor from Gilligan's Island is a real show.
Okay, Nanny and the Professor was a real show.
You're making
I'm going to tell you what Western
Big Valley,
Richard Long was.
Wagon Train.
Valley. Yeah, I think
Rawhide.
It was Big Valley. Rawhide.
Lee Majors. Lee Majors was in Big Valley.
Big Valley. Big Valley, Nanny and the Professor, Bourbon Street Beat, and 77 Sunset Strip.
Okay, that shit don't mean nothing to me.
I know, but Big Valley. He was in Big Valley, and he was the lover.
So on Big Valley, he was one of the sons.
Right.
Correct? Not the drifter Lee Majors, is what you're saying. The bastard son of a previous relationship who shows up on the first episode.
It was a different time, Kevin. A different time.
You got to do what you got to do in the Old West. Anywho, so that was a thing. And if I remember, and again, I could look it up, but I'm not going to. There was no ghost. There was no actual ghost going down. It was just scary shit set up to scare you. But there was a vat of sulfuric acid that was meant to have Vincent Price falls in. Sadly,
you don't know. You don't know when you're going to need stuff like that.
A vat of sulfuric acid, and then spoiler alert: the wife gets scared and like falls into the vat. Whoops, my bad. Yes. So there was none of that.
I did it again.
Pretty much.
I fell in the acid.
So there's none of that. It was basically like they took the basic premise of angry married couple, house full of strangers, in a crazy house, and shit goes down. After that, they kind of add their own flavor, which what we learn is there are ghosts in the house, but Chris Kattan says that ain't shit. Don't worry about the ghosts in the house. It's the house itself.
Right.
That you got to worry about. The house is the issue.
Not a house.
It's an asylum.
It is the hill, in fact. It is not the house.
It is the hill.
It's the hill.
It's
Watch
like
out
that.
for the hill.
In Poltergeist, they moved the tombstones, but they didn't move the
Yes.
coffins.
That was the best. That was one of the best reveals.
So, which is not cool, by the way. Move
I
the
gotta say,
coffins. as well.
Poltergeist was spooky as F back in the old day. The face
Absolutely.
melting, not so much, but that whole premise, like when she falls into the swimming pool and the coffins pop up, because that really happened. When I was a kid, it was all over the news. There was flooding in the Topanga Canyon, and it washed
Yes.
through a cemetery. This is where they got the idea. Washed through the cemetery up in the canyons above LA. So
Yeah.
people were literally fishing old coffins and bodies out of the muck, out of their pools, out of their front yards.
Oh my God. That would give you a nightmare.
That's where he got the idea for all this shit.
Well, and in Poltergeist,
No es
there was
bueno.
no muy no es bueno. There was there was like a bit of a scandal. I think we talked about it when we reviewed Poltergeist. Go back and check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Where they determined that the skeletons in the swamp water with Joe Beth Williams were real skeletons from India. But the reason why is because when you have skeletons, like for medical research or whatever, at universities to learn about anatomy or whatever, they are real skeletons. They're real skeletons. That's not anything bad necessarily, but the reality is it's cheaper to go to your medical supply place and grab a few skeletons to throw in the water with Joe Beth than have somebody make skeletons out of whole, like paper mache, or I don't know, something. Just go get to the medical supply place.
It just makes economic sense. Here's my question,
Please.
I had a friend who was in a nursing program, and I convinced the program to let me go over and take pictures while they were doing a dissection. What happens? I mean, you can only whittle down so far. What happens when they're done with this? They just send it to Hollywood?
Yes.
And to this day, I cannot eat Arby's after witnessing that. It is literally the same color as oxidized roast beef. Never again.
Lovely.
Nope.
This sounds delicious, by the way.
It is not delicious. And the pictures were terrible. And I'm not sure what I did with them. So
let's get this train back on the track, shall we?
Arby's looks like cadaver meat. That's all I'm going to tell you.
They established that the whole the interior had all been destroyed in the fire, right? At the beginning, when the inmates were running the asylum, a fire broke out, everything was destroyed, right? However, they keep finding old psychiatric devices in perfect working order. There's the electroshock treatment table.
Since the 1930s. Let's put this out. We're talking this happened in 31.
In 31, a fire destroyed everything. So even if a fire had destroyed everything, I can't imagine the electroconvulsive treatment, the water treatment, all the weird treatments that were still there would be working at all.
There was a fire that basically cooked everyone in an oven.
Incinerated everything.
Incinerated everyone and everything except for the plumbing and all the electrical.
And all the devices. And frankly, and all the rest. And
except for the carpeting and the wood and the kitchen.
Well, again, they did. Chris Kattan's father allegedly started to refurbish. For what reason? No one knows why they're refurbishing. And again, this isn't an old mansion. This is an old insane asylum.
This reminds me of the Pope's Exorcist, where they've inherited this abbey from her dead husband, so they're going to take their last 3 cents to try to fix it up to sell it. Sell the motherfucker. Chris Kattan, you're driving around in a sloppy jalopy in LA. They ain't going to fly. Sell this bitch.
Absolutely.
Fix it up. For what? They can't barely run out the Queen Mary. Do you want people don't want to stay in your Arkham Asylum?
They do not.
They do not. That is apparently alive and eats people.
That is correct. So now, halfway through the movie, it appears as though Famke Janssen has been electrocuted to death. But in surprise, surprise, it was all part of her trick. to fake her death so that all the randos at the party that she didn't even know were going to be there in the first place would think that Jeffrey Rush did it, and then they'll be driven to shoot him.
I think it's interesting. So she was going to invite all her friends, so they would have been on her side anyway.
I guess.
Here's a problem.
Yes.
So we find her getting shocked. I mean, she's seizuring like she ain't coming back from that, right?
Right.
She's flailing, she's bouncing. First of all, you wouldn't be making any of these sounds or anything. I'm just telling you that because I've seen
Could you
videos
spend
of
some
people
time?
getting electric shock.
Okay.
At one point, I was a psych major. So you're not, all that is not happening.
They're going to
all
say I
right?
used to be an inmate of this asylum.
Just for fun. Just for fun. And then the good doctor comes and gives her a shot to wake her up. So
To
we're
wake her
supposed to understand that that was really happening to her? Because
This is the
if she
question.
was unconscious, she clearly wouldn't have been having these crazy seizures. And if she wasn't fake doing it, then she would be dead.
Correct. So the question is, was she actually being shocked, or was she just pretending with like thrashing around? But if she's just pretending, then why does he have to give her a shot to wake her up?
Exactly. That doesn't make any sense.
So then we assume, so she really did hook herself up to the electroshock treatment. She's committed to this bit, evidently. I'm going to make sure I get so much electricity pouring through my veins that I'm literally spasming, flopping on the table like a trout for far too long.
I mean, it's a firestorm in your brain. First of all, people who have electric shock, they have amnesia.
Right.
So she's not going to remember all of this nonsense.
Right.
So it's all poo-poo and cuckoo.
It's all poo-poo and cuckoo. Now, Dr. Blackburn revives her, which reveals that they were lovers. And they're talking about, oh, yeah, it was our plan. Now one of those other randos will pick up the gun that Jeffrey Rush passed out for some godforsaken reason, and actually shoot him. And then she's like, I don't think they'll be convinced. I think we need one more murder. And then she just, for no reason at all, stabs Dr. Blackburn, her lover, and flops him on the ground and throws the knife on the floor for them to discover later.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. He's the weakest link. He's going to expect a piece of this action dealt with. That's the most logical thing of this whole situation.
I thought he was expecting a piece of something else, not a piece of the action, if you know what I'm saying.
And he is Peter Gallagher, so he deserves to die.
For that reason alone, stab away. Is that what you're saying?
Had to be.
Very upsetting.
And quite frankly, when Jeffrey Rush gets shot, it's very clear that he's wearing a jacket.
Why is that very clear?
Because I could see it.
that would explain it. Absolutely.
I mean, I could see that he's got this padding on underneath his clothing. Because he was fairly a thin guy in this film. Later on, not so much.
He was. When I was looking up notes about his appearance, because his name is Price, obviously an homage to Vincent, but his appearance was not based upon Vincent Price in The House on Haunted Hill. Do you know what it was based on?
It's whatever he says is a lie. Tell me.
When you hear it, you're going to be like,
it's
John Waters.
Oh.
You're like, ooh, now that you mentioned
Quite frankly, I mean, there's nothing about his portrayal that's John Waters.
That's what he was going for, especially the crazy, the pencil thin mustache. That's what he was going for.
That's
originally.
It is the same as Vincent Price's in this movie. John Waters, God bless him, he's still hanging in with that crazy lip ring and mustache.
He loves it. That's his move. In addition to the ridiculously horrible CGI of the ghostly shadows flopping everywhere, there was also random moments of just ghost nudity that popped up. Did you notice this? Where it's like, oh my God, there's a ghostly vision. There'd be some chick like topless.
But the women had like weird makeup on their faces, but were not. The rest of their body was clearly nude and nothing wrong with it.
That's correct.
They
Monster
had bloody
face.
lipstick. They look like old hookers from the Moulin Rouge if
Yes.
they had a good meal.
That is correct. Like unmotivated ghost nudity from characters we've never seen before, don't know anything
No.
about. Here's what I'm. Look at my ghostly breasts. There's a lot of
There'd
that.
be just random fucking ghosts for no apparent reason,
Yes.
just appearing and really doing nothing.
Correct.
And the head shaker.
And the head shaker spazzing out. Now, it's revealed that the people who were chosen to come were the descendants of the 5 like people who worked at the asylum who were also evil. So it's the house getting revenge. That's why they were invited back.
So evil.
So who was it? It was Stephen Price and his wife were
Right.
both descendants. It was not Chris Kattan. Was it? Was he one of?
No, there were all these people who are not even related to.
Right.
This.
Well, that's
Chris
and that's
Kattan, you're a Freemason.
not a Freemason, just a regular ass Mason. He did charge. A Freemason. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Anywho, but we've already established that Ali Larder took her boss's invitation, so she's not related to them.
Taye Diggs, not related. I'm adopted. What do you mean I'm adopted? I didn't do anything wrong.
He's about to be killed by the ghostly shadow, and he goes, "I was adopted." and the ghost goes, "Oops, my bad." I mean, I don't know what the ghost
I
is
don't
going to
know how Jeffrey Rush and his wife are. They're not part of it. Are they relatives?
They were relatives.
What, are
they
they
were
married
revealed.
brother and sister? How are they? They would have been his parents.
No. Each one of them had a descendant. Like Nurse Stockard was her descendant, and Orderly Price was his. I'm remembering very vaguely, but they were all descendants. Blackburn was not, because he wasn't even invited in the first place.
There were 5 descendants and 8 people.
Right. Correct. And then a ghostly Chris Kattan, who was killed earlier, grabs the rope or whatever and opens up the steel girders to let Taye Diggs slip out the door. The worst door ever, because again, they're on a 1,000-foot precipice.
And why is there a door there?
Who
what?
knows?
And now what? You got to go back downstairs because nobody knows you're there. You're just going to sit there until you become little skeletons and blow away?
That's correct. They're trapped on the highest parapet over the cliff. The ghost was nice enough to slip them the 5 cashier's checks for millions of dollars. But again, they're like, how are we going to get down? Laugh take, freeze frame, then it cuts to the credits. But this is an important question.
No explanation.
Steel doors are still slammed shut. So they're screwed. And I like how the ghost's like, even we can't get through the steel doors. You're safe. So.
Okay. But then how did the ghost get into his office to change everything? Oh, because the window was open. I see. So the ghost just knew where his office was and just took a bus from Pacific Palisades, DTLA, and then there we go.
Well, they do have mass transit, so they've got, I think there's a subway down there as well. So
they do have some subways, but I don't believe the subway goes to the Palisades. So I maybe got a ghost Uber. There's a ghost Uber.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts and feelings before we go behind the scenes?
Oh, at one point, Jeffrey Rush was trapped in what is a zoetrope.
Yes.
And it never occurred to him to just close his eyes.
He put on some goggles because it was too distracting, and the goggles didn't do zippity doo dah. You're right. He could have just closed his eyes.
You don't want to watch a movie. When I was watching, what was that? Let Me In. I was like,
Let Me In.
I had my hands over their eyes every time there was an eye pluck scene. Close your eyes. How about that?
Pluck it out, pluck it out. If thy eye offend
Offends
thee.
thee, pluck it out.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Shall we go behind the scenes?
I
Or do you have
wrote
anything
something
else?
here. How was she flogging if she was out?
That's a
don't
good
know.
question. How is she flogging if she was out? We may never know the answer to these questions.
All right, next.
Behind the scenes. William Malone, the director, got the idea to set the movie in a former insane asylum when he was filming an episode for Tales of the Crypt. In a former asylum, and noticed that crew members were running scared out of the basement, not wanting to film there. So there you go. That's
You
important.
got, what is that funny?
Famke Janssen performed her own stunt when the glass ceiling breaks.
When she
So
just moved out of the way?
She
What
had
was
to
that?
lay there and the thing comes down, and I guess it came down so heavy that her head kind of bounces on the table a little bit. So that's important.
So her stunt was laying still. I
was
gotcha.
laying still with glass smashing next to her.
You get a bump on that?
You get a bump. Now, Chris Kattan established mere moments earlier that this was a rare, like, stained glass from Europe. And then 2 seconds later, it smashes down, which everyone assumes this is one of Stephen Price's pranks. Why doesn't he say, what the hell? That cost thousands of dollars. Right? Questions.
Why did if he's so afraid of the house, why is he inside of it? Why was he there at all? First of all,
wouldn't you have to pay in advance to rent someplace?
I would be standing at the steps.
Absolutely.
Here's the combo to the lockbox. Show me the money. Deuces.
I'm out. Deuces. I'm not coming. I'm not letting you set up everything, right? It's send out the invitations, and then I have to ferry everybody up to the front door. And then I say, by the way, would you pay me? That's not how this works.
Nah.
Not how it works.
And whatever happened to Jeffrey Rush's little homie who was supposed to be doing all the pranks that never happened?
His face got ripped off. He went in there later to be like, what the hell's going on here? And his chair turns around and he has no face. Like the skull was scooped out with like a giant melon baller.
At that point. I missed that.
I don't blame you. I fell asleep 3 times watching this. The roller coaster at the beginning of the movie is the Incredible Hulk ride at Universal's Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Florida. So
Another Florida situation.
Because I was wondering about that. Did they build a roller coaster for this movie?
No.
I'll tell you what.
The Kiss movie at Magic Mountain, they did not build the roller coaster just for Kiss.
Why not?
Why not?
No, I
haven't
really
watched that yet, by the way.
No, we haven't. We may never watch it. I really enjoyed the opening of this movie. I thought it was fun. I thought all the roller coaster stuff was fun. It lost me when the steel plates come down. And when they're on the asylum. Then it was not nearly as entertaining. Let's see. Marilyn Manson was considered for the role of the evil, ghostly Dr. Vanicut.
But he did the opening and closing credits.
Because he sang the Eurythmics. Right. Yeah. These dreams are made of these.
Yeah. Sweet dreams, not these dreams.
Well, whose ever dreams they are. I don't know anything about it.
Apparently they're Marilyn Manson's dreams.
Could be. When Price says from here on it gets really scary, his roller coaster zooms past him on the tracks. The coaster had to be inserted digitally. If it were really to have been in motion as he stood there, the wind from its movement would have sent Jeffrey Rush flying off the ride entirely. So that's good to know.
I suppose it is.
Chris Kattan, shockingly enough, improvised some of his more comical moments in the film, as he was encouraged to do so by the director. A lot of comical moments.
There was nothing comical about it. He should have done the head bump thing.
What's the head bump thing? What does that mean?
He was doing...
What is happening? Sweet Jesus.
A night at the Roxbury.
Oh, gotcha. I thought you meant he started spazzing out. Same difference. William Malone wrote over 20% of the film's final screenplay, though he ultimately didn't get a writing credit. He's very upset about that, as you might imagine.
I wouldn't be upset. Just credit me as Funky Joe.
In the original script, Melissa Marr, played by Bridget Wilson Sampras, had more dialogue than she did in the final script. In the final script, some of her lines went to Sarah Wolf, the other blonde. I mean, they basically seem very similar characters, and then one just kind of goes off, gets killed. They're like, okay, moving on.
One ends up being just like a lung and a boob.
It's sad. Cindy Crawford was considered for the role of Melissa Margaret Marr. There's a lot of these.
I don't believe that.
I love when they say we considered them, and then they said no. Is that basically
we
what
were
it
sitting
is?
in a bar considering different people that will say no if we ask them.
That is correct. Let's see. Warner Brothers and Dark Castle Entertainment, in an homage to the marketing gimmicks of William Castle films, promoted this film by providing movie theaters with scratch-off tickets that could be given to movie patrons. The scratch-off ticket would give each movie patron a chance to win prize money, just like the characters in the film.
That doesn't sound very interesting or creative.
Well, they didn't do it.
It's no Tingler, that's for sure.
That's for damn sure. They did not do that for any other film before or since, because they realized it's not a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the cast and crew, shall we?
Let's.
The director is William Malone. You know him from such things as The House on Haunted Hill, Fear.com.
Oh, God.
Parasomnia, which I'm unfamiliar with.
Come on. It's just the slide. It's just the slide down.
Is. He directed one episode of the TV series Masters of Horror. What do you think of that?
Okay. I think that's the end of his career. Let's go.
Let's talk about the cast. Jeffrey Rush played Stephen Price. You know him for such things as The King's Speech. He played Lionel Logue in 2010. He played Philip Henslowe in Shakespeare in Love.
Love Shakespeare in Love. He was great in that.
He was great. He was the Marquis de Sade in 2000's Quills, which I
did see that. We all saw that.
Yeah. And he was Captain Barbossa in the Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and frankly, all of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yeah. The first one was great, and then it's all a bunch of the same bullshit.
First one was pretty good, and then it was downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even talk about
that. Marked the end of the acting career of Johnny Depp and the end of the directing career of Tim Burton. They just gave up.
Tim Burton did not direct those movies, by the way. I'm sad to say.
What? Don't lie to me. He directed the first one. What?
No, he didn't.
Who directed?
No, he didn't. I don't know.
Keep talking.
You look it up. Famke Janssen played Evelyn Price. You know her from such amazing things as X-Men The Last Stand, which is a piece of crap. She was Xenia Onatopp from GoldenEye, the James Bond movie. She was Jean Grey in X-Men, the original, which was all right. And of course, Evelyn in The House on Haunted Hill. She was Danish. She's a Danish model turned actress, if I remember correctly. Taye Diggs. Taye Diggs, what I wanted to say is he had a couple years there where he was everywhere.
He was the dude.
He was the dude. He was in Rent on Broadway, and then he was How Stella Got Her Groove Back, and then he was all over the place. He was married to Adele Dazeem, Idina Menzel for a couple years there as well.
Yeah.
So he had good things going on. And then he stopped. He was in Chicago as band leader in 2002.
That's right.
Yep. He
I
was
Chicago.
Eddie in House on Haunted Hill. He was Benjamin Coffin III in Rent, reprising his theatrical role. And he was Brant in something called Equilibrium, which I'm unfamiliar with. So there you go. No mention of How Stella Got Her Groove Back, sad to say. Let's see. Peter Gallagher played Blackburn. You know him from American Beauty. Also playing the other man.
Movie.
He was in 92 episodes as Sandy Cohen in The O.C. Sandy Cohen. Peter Gallagher's not Jewish. Chuck
By the
Cedar.
way, you are correct, but there's a rumor he may be tapped for, what is it, the 5th or 6th one? Oh my God, what's happening?
Sorry.
Apparently Tim Burton just stopped directing films just coincidentally.
He did. Was it Roland Emmerich who directed it?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Something like that. Some kind of
Okay, that's
crazy
not helpful.
Danish with lines through the letters or something.
Umlauts. He was Peter in While You Were Sleeping in 95.
Gore Verbinski. 1 through 3. Rob Marshall 4. Joaquin Ronin with a line through the O 5. Espen Sandberg 5.
What? That's bizarre.
There's 2 directors for 5.
Chris Kattan played Pritchett, the guy who owns the asylum for some reason. You know him from A Night at the Roxbury, House on Haunted Hill, Undercover Brother.
Undercover Brother. I love that movie.
I enjoyed it as well. And The Ridiculous Six in 2015 with Adam Sandler. So there you go.
Beautiful.
Ali Larder played Sarah. You know her from such things as Final Destination. She played Clear Rivers in Final Destination. She was in Obsessed in 2009. Unfamiliar. She had a smallish role in Legally Blonde in 2001, which is actually, if you haven't seen Legally Blonde, it's actually surprisingly entertaining.
It is entertaining. You can't.
It really is. The sequel blows, but the first one was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, which I believe was not the final chapter.
It never is.
It never is.
It's always a lie.
Sad but true. Bridget Wilson Sampras. At the time, she was just Bridget Wilson. You know her.
Which one is she?
She was the other blonde woman who died with the camera.
All right, gotcha.
She played Sonya Blade in 1995's Mortal Kombat. She was in 95's Billy Madison. She was in 93's Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And she had a very small role in I Know What You Did Last Summer in 1997.
What did they do?
They ran over some longshoremen. Something like that.
All right.
And I always laugh that the sequel is called I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. That's wrong. Should be I Still Know What You Did 2 summers ago.
2 summers ago.
Absolutely.
2.5 summers ago. I know what went on during spring break. How about that?
Jeffrey Combs played Dr. Vaniket. You know him from The Frighteners. He was in Reanimator, Herbert West in 1985.
Absolutely. Good to see he was still kicking around.
Still doing his thing. He was in 32 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, playing a variety of characters.
Nice. 32 episodes. Good for
32.
him.
Not bad. He was in Would You Rather in 2012. Anybody else you want to know about?
Would you rather have $1 million or be poor?
I've listed basically the entire cast. Do you want to know about Lisa Loeb or Peter Graves at the stage of the game? Or
what's Lisa Loeb up to these days? And why
Lisa
was she
Loeb
in for 30 seconds?
Lisa Loeb played Channel 3
knows who
reporter.
Lisa Loeb is right now.
Her big hit was Stay. Do you remember that one?
No. Her big hit were
You
her
say.
Oh, na 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 na.
I only hear what I want to. There you go.
That's right.
The song was Stay. Thank you. From Reality Bites. She did the song.
I did like Reality Bites.
She was Channel 3 reporter in 1999's House on Haunted Hill. She was in the soundtrack for Legally Blonde, the soundtrack for Twister. She played Lisa Loeb in Hot Tub Time Machine #2 in 2015.
God, there was a number 2?
That was the one that John Cusack said, not going to do it. Very sad.
Good call. Good call.
Peter Graves played Peter Graves. You know him. He was in Stalag 17 in 1953. He was Captain Clarence Over on Airplane 1980. He played 143 episodes as Jim Phelps in Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
There you go. And in 1955, he was in The Night of the Hunter. And I always say, I discovered that his older brother, James Arness, was Marshall Dillon in Gunsmoke. So there you go.
I can't even say I ever watched Gunsmoke, but I'm still mesmerized by this list behind you. Is your daughter going to see Ed Sheeran? What is this list of people here?
Sleeping with Siren. She's going to a concert, and then Ed Sheeran, and then Pierce the Veil. She has
she's rocking like her aunt, like one concert a month. I still have an extra ticket to see Måneskin.
Shall we talk about the rating?
Boom.
House on Haunted Hill currently on Rotten Tomatoes, 31%.
Yeah.
Do you know what the audience gave it?
12%?
42%. Still a failing grade.
This audience is full of stoned and drunk high school boys.
Sad but true. Owen Gleiberman from Entertainment Weekly gave it a B-. I'm not reading the full review. So there you go.
First of all, he's clearly insane. There's some cerebral damage with a B rating for this nonsense.
Steve Murray.
I gave it a B because there was a boob.
There was one boob. That's all you need. Steve Murray of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution called it a bloody mess.
Yeah.
There you go.
It wasn't even that bloody. It was just a mess.
Michael Atkinson, Mr. Showbiz. He says, paints at characters and strokes so broad, just one would cover a barn. And in the end, indulges in lame, dull digital effects that would put a 5-year-old to sleep.
Okay, first of all, the first half was nonsense. The second half of that review was 100%.
100% true.
As it knocked you out 3 times.
It absolutely did. Lucy was like shaking me. Daddy! It was very upsetting. What is your rating?
What did your daughter think?
She didn't watch much. She was on her phone half the time. She didn't know what was happening.
As was Aunt Erin.
Well, she was pissed. She was like, I want to watch something, and you're taking my time and falling asleep. So that was a sad situation. What is your rating for The House on Haunted Hill?
I'm going to give it 2 out of 5. If you find the VCR tape or a CD at the Walmart, and even if it's marked down like $25 for $1, just throw a match. Burn it down. Don't waste your time. I don't care if it's on like Turner Classics, 900 Days of Halloween. Skip it. Skip this. Skip Lily Taylor. Cancel Lily Taylor.
Lily Taylor's not even in this movie. She's catching strays.
It doesn't matter. Anything that has the words haunting and a house, kill it. Bring in the Pope's Exorcist. Throw some holy water around and just walk away. Save your time. Hit yourself in the head with a hammer instead.
So if you saw 25 movies for the price of one, you wouldn't just turn away and walk off. You would commit arson. You would burn the place down like the asylum was in 1931.
If there was a requirement that you had to take, this movie had to be part of it, I would be deeply offended and I would cause a ruckus.
You would cause a ruckus. Fair enough. I also gave it 2.5 ghost breasts out of 5.
Ghost breast.
That's just one is all I need. 2.5 of them. Look, you gave it 2.5 and it's talking about committing murder and arson. I just thought it was kind of
2 out of 5, not 2.5.
I gave it 2.5. I think it's kind of crappy, but I mean, I've seen worse.
What qualifies for a 1, Kevin? What qualifies for a 1?
I think I told you, Forbidden Zone, I would have given it a 0 on Letterboxd, but they don't give you that option. I had to give it half a star.
You didn't buy it?
Did not buy it. That place, I am committing murder and arson. Look, House on Haunted Hill, it's just kind of crappy. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. I don't think
crappy, it's boring. That's all you
It's crappy, it's boring. It's not horrendously awful. It's just kind of like, you know what? Take a pass.
Not worth it. There's too many other good things to watch.
Too much.
Don't waste your
life's
time.
too short. Life's too short. Just give it a pass. Now, don't commit arson. Don't burn the house down. Don't commit murder. Just, you know what? I'm going to change the channel on 900 Days of Halloween. Whatever that is, I'm in for it.
All I
Whatever
can say, you come home from work, you crack a beer, and you say, I gotta watch some Jeffrey Rush tonight. I got to watch him. I can't go to bed. The weekend doesn't start until I get me some Jeffrey Rush. Shakespeare in Love. That's all you need to know.
I mean, you'd rather they watch the bathroom scene from Shine where he's in there naked. Yeah, okay.
Do you think
anyway.
I saw that? I never saw that.
Don't Google it. Let me just put it that way.
No.
Anywho, thank you very much. Go to our pages on Facebook. We're on X. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. You can email. We're on YouTube. For goodness sake.
We're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube. You could be watching us as we speak, for goodness sake. You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at
Gmail.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation these days?
I am watching less and less media, I have to tell you that.
That's a good way to be.
I'm on, of course, we're on the TikTok. I'm on the gram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I am Don't Feed the Pigeon. Professionally, I'm at Artsy and First Dibs, Aaron Doherty. Check it out.
Check it out. As you guys know, we like to do viewer-listener mail feedback from time to time. So we have some fancy comments from our friends on the internet.
Because we fancy that way.
Discussing the movie Megan that we reviewed a week or so ago. David Rosen says, one of the most fun theatrical experiences of the year. Aaron, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Aaron was not a fan of Megan. Josh Hatcher says, discount Child's Play, which was already Child's Play. So
I liked it better than Child's Play. Let's just put that out there. And for some reason, My Buddy popped up on my TikTok, and I was just like, no. My buddy Chucky.
Let me reread this. So Discount Child's Play 2019. So there was a remake of Child's Play we did not watch, which I guess changed the mythology to make it more of a robot kind of situation. So Discount Child's Play, which was already Discount Child's Play. So there you go. So you get what I'm trying to say eventually.
I'm not sure.
The I Finally Watched podcast said, loved it. I'm not even into horror that much, and I watched it twice in a month.
The best part of Megan is just she's so judgy with that mom. Like, what are you going to do now? Come on. That's the best part of her bitching and nagging. Love it. I might need to get a Megan.
Casey, seriously, flush the toilet. That was my favorite moment. Seismic Cinema says, love this movie. Found the doll proper creepy. Good time at the cinema.
That person's British for sure.
Absolutely. Tara Newkirk, who we might be familiar with, says, dying to know if Megan was supposed to look like the Olsen girls.
Olsen girls for sure. Or was it Nellie Olsen?
The youngest one in curls. Hallmark of Greatness. I know there's a better cut of it floating about, but I was kind of underwhelmed by it. If there's a murder robot knocking about, I want to see it go full rampage mode. And also stop killing dogs as a gateway to humans.
Dude, because he said that.
Yes.
What if it was Megan versus the Terminator? Dude, this could be. They already got Alien versus Predator. Why not Terminator versus Megan?
Well,
I would pay to see that.
Then you get
pay to see that.
Adult Arnold Schwarzenegger beating up a little girl. I don't know if that would work.
She's
In this
not
day
a
and
little
age.
girl. She's a murderous robot. She can nag him. Really? Did you pee on the floor again? Could you put the seat down? Really,
you-
Arnold? Again?
Hey, I've often said I'll put the seat down, but when you're done, you need to put the seat back up. I think we both. I think it's fair
It's
about
bad feng shui. That whole lid needs to be shut down and closed.
and throw a grenade in there just to be done with it.
Well, apparently you already threw a grenade in there. Why everybody wants you to close that biz up?
Clearly, sad but true indeed. Next week, we're going to be discussing the horror classic Eraserhead. Oh, sweet Jesus! Aaron is
That's your
punishing me.
punishment. Yes.
You can watch it on Apple TV for $3.99. That's not cool, but you watch for free on Max. On
All
Max.
right. Perfect.
And or if you have, I think it's the Criterion collection. I can't. My eyesight's getting.
I
bad.
do not collect Criterion.
So it's free if you want to watch that. So I've seen it once many moons ago.
It's been a while.
Don't remember having a good feeling about it though. I gotta be honest with you.
It was a freak show, that's for sure.
It's a freak show, that's for sure. So thank you very much, and be well.
Bye.